My hands are still buzzing from the beating I gave to my wife's boy toy. Adrenaline does that to you, I guess. But let's start from the beginning. I never really considered myself a paranoid guy. Suspicious? Maybe. Cynical? Definitely. But paranoid? Nah. So when I noticed that the old clunky wooden cabinet in our living room was missing, I didn't immediately think, oh, my wife is screwing another man in my house. That would have been crazy. My first thought was just confusion. I knew damn well that cabinet didn't just get up and walk away on its own. I asked Jessica, that's my wife's name, what happened to it. She said Todd, our friendly neighborhood good-for-nothing from 3 houses down, helped remove it while I was at work. Todd. Of all people. Now, Todd wasn't just any random guy. Mid-30s, gym rat. The type of dude who suddenly starts jogging shirtless around the block, pretending like he's just really into fitness and not spiraling into a crisis. You know the type. Jessica's excuse? Oh, he just happened to be walking his dog next to us when I was struggling with him. I told him and he helped. Right. Because Todd, a man with the attention span of a goldfish on Adderall, suddenly felt the need to play Good Samaritan. That was the first red flag. And once you notice one, you start seeing them everywhere. Look, I didn't want to be that guy. The spying on my wife guy. But something about the way she dismissed my questions with that too casual tone made my gut scream at me. I didn't accuse her of anything. Didn't start a fight. Just nodded, said okay, and the next day, I bought a discreet little audio recorder off Amazon. Set it up behind a picture frame in our bedroom, and connected it to our Wi-Fi. She'd never find it. She hadn't dusted that shelf in months. And then I waited. For 3 days I went to work pretending everything was fine. Meanwhile, I would receive recordings on my phone and listen to them. Nothing. Nothing. And then, something. The 3rd day, right around noon, when I was at work, I heard it. Todd's voice. In my house. At first, it was just talking. Laughing. Some flirting. Then the unmistakable sounds of my wife cheating on me in our bed. My heart didn't sink. It didn't break. It just stopped. And then something dark, something primal, woke up inside me. I clocked out of work early. Drove home. And I found Todd standing in my kitchen, shirtless. Have you ever had an out-of-body experience? One of those moments where your body moves before your brain catches up? That was me. Except instead of floating peacefully outside of myself, I was channeling every ounce of rage and betrayal into my right hook. The moment Todd turned and saw me, he had about half a second to react before my fist collided with his jaw. He stumbled backward, knocking over a chair, his confused little pea-brain trying to process why his day just took a dramatic turn for the worse. But I wasn't done. Not even close. I grabbed him by the back of his head and slammed him onto the dining table, the sound of his body hitting would satisfying in a way I can't fully describe. To his credit, he tried to fight back. He really did. But see, there's a difference between lifting weights at the gym and actually knowing how to fight. Every punch I threw landed with a weight that came from somewhere deep inside me, years of trust, love, and loyalty being shattered in a single moment. By the time I stopped, Todd was on the floor, wheezing, blood dripping from his nose. And then I did what any reasonable, logical man in my situation would do. I dragged his ass outside by his hair, stood him up in my driveway, and slapped him. Repeatedly. Because there's something about slapping a man that's even more degrading than punching him. And then I pulled out my phone. Todd was still in my driveway, shirtless, bleeding, and swaying like a drunk at last call. His face was a mess, split lip, swollen cheek, the dumb vacant expression of a man who just realized he seriously miscalculated his life choices. I held up my phone, camera aimed right at him. "Hey Todd, wanna say hi?" He groaned. That was about as much enthusiasm as he could muster. No? Alright, I'll do the honors then. I turned the camera on myself. For those of you just tuning in, this is Todd. Todd thought it'd be a great idea to screw my wife in my own damn house. And now Todd has learned a very important lesson about consequences. I panned the camera back to him, zooming in on his busted face. But wait. There's more. Because see, I wasn't just recording this for myself. I was recording it for Todd's wife. Yeah, that's right. Todd, genius that he was actually married. Her name was Emma. Sweet girl, from what I remembered. She worked as a kickboxing instructor at an MMA gym across town. And according to Facebook, she really loved her husband. I figured she deserved to know exactly what kind of man she married. So without another word, I stopped recording, pulled up Facebook Messenger, and sent her the video. And just for good measure, I added a message. You might want to have a chat with your husband. Oh, and maybe stock up on some ice packs. He's gonna need them. Sent. And just like that, Todd's life was officially fucked. I went back inside, leaving Todd out there in the cold to contemplate his poor life choices. Jessica was exactly where I expected her to be, sitting on the edge of our bed, face buried in her hands, crying like she was the victim in all this. I stood in the doorway, arms crossed. Pack your shit. She lifted her head, mascara running, eyes red. Wait. No. I cut her off. You don't get to wait me. You had all the time in the world to think about this before you let that asshole into our bed. Now pack your shit and get the fuck out. She sobbed harder. Please, it was a mistake. A mistake. I laughed, shaking my head. No, forgetting to buy milk is a mistake. Dropping your phone in the toilet is a mistake. What you did. I pointed at the bed. That was a choice. She stared at me, chest heaving, desperate. I just stood there, stone-faced. Because here's the thing, people like Jessica, they don't cry because they're sorry. They cry because they got caught. And I had zero sympathy for that. So while she packed, I went out to the garage, grabbed a sledgehammer, and marched right back into the bedroom. She froze. What are you? Wham. The headboard splintered on impact. Jessica screamed as I obliterated the bed we used to share, swinging like a man possessed. Pillows exploded. Wood cracked. The mattress caved in. By the time I was done, the bed looked like it had survived a Category 5 hurricane. Jessica was crying again, hands over her mouth. I tossed the sledgehammer aside and pointed at the door. Out. And she left with nothing but a suitcase and a shattered ego. And that night I slept like a fucking baby. But after some time, my phone was blowing up. Emma saw the video. And well, let's just say Todd's day wasn't getting any better. She replied with exactly 3 words. He's a dead man. Then, about an hour later, I got another message. This time, it was a video. I clicked play, and what I saw made me laugh so hard I almost dropped my phone. Emma had Todd in a chokehold. And she was not holding back. Say it, she yelled. Through wheezing breaths, Todd croaked, I fucked up. She tightened her grip. Louder. I fucked up. Goddamn. Emma was my hero. Jessica moved back in with her parents. Jobless. Humiliated. Everyone in town knew what she did. Todd? Well, last I heard, he was also unemployed. Apparently, getting your ass handed to you by your wife doesn't sit well with your tough guy reputation. Oh, and Emma? She filed for divorce. And, as an extra little cherry on top, she invited me to her gym. Your hands aren't bad, she said over the phone. But your technique is shit. You ever thought about learning how to actually fight? I laughed. I mean, I've got some free time now. And that's how I ended up spending my evenings learning kickboxing with the woman who choked out my wife's affair partner. Funny how life works, huh? 1 minute, your marriage is falling apart. The next, you're throwing punches with an MMA fighter and actually having fun again. Maybe this was the start of something new. Maybe not. Either way, I won.